Hello. Excuse me. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Little Farmer's Farm with me, Guru Murphinda, aka Tony. Now, on today's episode, or rather this evening's episode, we're going to be looking at getting those onions in, or at least half of them. But I've got to prepare the bed first. I'll show you the bed. If you remember, it's the old brassica bed that we had the club root in. And I just need to prepare the soil for it and then get the onions planted in. So let's take a look. I was going to put some more compost on it, but it doesn't need it. It just needs the soil to be rotivated and then amendments added in. So let's check. Yeah, so this is a good long bed that we've got here. And we're going to plant it up. So I'm going to start off with the centurion onions, but the first step is to loosen that soil up, to rotivate it and get the blood, fish and bone down into the mix, to give it that nutrition, to give it that fertiliser for the growing season. Doesn't need a massive amount, but it does need to be amended, that soil. So we'll crack on with that. I'm going to move these bags out of the way first, then get the blood, fish and bone, apply it onto the surface, and then we'll work it in with the rotivator. It's a tiller. That's a tiller there. So I'm going to be using that just to roughen up the soil, get in there. It needs to go down about 4 inches, so that's what we're doing. These spikes on the rotivator will till the soil. The job will be a good one. Okay. That's had a good dusting. Each one of these sections has probably had about 5 handfuls of blood, fish and bone. And we'll call it like 1.5 meters. So if we say 6 meters worth of growing space there has been coated in blood, fish and bone, and it just has to be worked in now. So I'm going to take a tiller and crack on with that. All right, let's go, guys. I'll start off at the front end without falling over. And all I'm going to be doing is working it like that, back and forth, so that the brown blood, fish and bone works its way under and is integrated in to our soil mix. And as the little weeds pop up, which they invariably will do, the little weeds, then I'll pull them out. But we already weeded this, if you remember, about 1.5 weeks ago. Myself and Bradley weeded through all this about 1.5 weeks ago. And it takes about a minute to do 1 metre, so this is probably going to take me no more. It'll take me no more than 10 minutes to do it. But you want to make sure that all the fertilisers mixed in to the soil and that you've roughened it up, and it's easier then to plant out. Easier to plant your onions in. It loosens the soil and it allows the roots to grow better, to spread the wings on the ground and to take in as much of this nutrition as they can. And that way, hopefully, you're going to get big onions, healthy onions. But I think I can get about 8 per row in here. That's what I'm going to try and do, because it's about 4 feet wide. So they're going to be like sort of 5 or 6 inches apart, something like that, the onions, which is more than ample. You can cluster plant onions, actually. You can plant them in clusters, if you like. You just don't get as big an onion. But we're looking for decent size. We're looking for a decent size onion. We're not looking for record breakers, just decent sized onions. And hopefully that's what we'll get. So I'll carry on with that. I don't want to bore you to tears with it, but I'll carry on with that and we'll see where we get up to. Now, there was a request from the lady farmer to get some, or leave some space to plant some flowers in. So luckily, the way that I've spaced these out, you'll see in a second, we should have enough room for about 18 inches at the end to plant a row of flowers along the path side. I'll show you. So I've planted 2/3 of them into the ground. There's 80 altogether there, and there's another 40 to plant. And we've got this space. Now they should finish, the last of the onions, the last 48 onions, should finish around about here, which gives around about 20 inches really, to plant up some nice bumblebee friendly flowers along the end there. I think it'll drop really handy. And then there'll be 120 onions on that side, and then once the Stuttgarter onions, the German onions, are ready for planting out, which will be in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, they can go at the back there. I've left just enough space for me to get in and to do the hand weeding. I always do the hand weeding around onions because it's difficult to do with a hoe, and I'm always frightened of snapping them. So with hand weeding, it's a lot more of a delicate process, and it's a lot more involved physically. Although it's not difficult, it's fiddly. But you tend not to break as many stems because they're planted quite close together. They're around about 5 or 6 inches in between all the way around on this onion bed. So we can get in there, we can get our hands in there, and we can pluck them out, any weeds that pop up. They're fairly evenly spaced, but they're not exactly like regimental soldiers. But they look neat enough. Joe's got his onions in across there, as you can see. I tend to plant them up to the shoulder so that the actual onion is mostly under the ground. Reason being is that when the rains come and the winds, the surface of the bed shrinks down, gets washed down, it gets blown up away, and the roots as well, they'll push up. So the roots will push the bulb up slightly, and the rains and weather conditions will wash it down slightly. So eventually you'll get the onion more or less sat on top. But at this stage I plant them so that there's only really the stem coming out, the leaf coming out of them. Because I account for that, I account for the wash down and the root ball pushing them up. But not everybody does that, but I like to do that. It gives them more of a firm purchase in the soil as well. The only problem with that is if we get particularly torrential weather, yeah, that can be detrimental. But I'm edging my bets a little bit. I'm hoping it's not going to be too wet of a season. That might be detrimental to the onions, but keep your fingers crossed for that. I keep burping. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me these days. Perhaps I'm getting a peptic ulcer. To go along with me dodgy feet and knee. It's crap getting old. But anyway, there you go. It's the inevitable entropy of life, isn't it? But there you go. Right, all right, I'll carry on with these and I'll get them all in. All the Centurions are going in. The Stuttgarter are going to wait. Another week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, before they go in. I might not do it this weekend, but I might do it the second weekend, the last weekend of spring break. I'll do it that weekend, I think, and get those out, depending on size. But I'll get this side filled up and then I'll show you the results. All right, guys. Oh yeah, now it would appear I've been overly optimistic about the amount of space that was going to be left after those onions. I'll show you. Not much room there, is there? Get some marigolds in though, get some small flowering plants in down there. There's about 8 inches, or there will be about 8 inches left. But I couldn't narrow them anymore, really, these spacings. So yeah, that's weird, isn't it? 2/3 got to about there, and then the rest of it was taken up. So yeah, I suppose, yeah. We've got about 8 inches to plant stuff in. Anyway, but there they are now, all in. I'm going to water them up now. Job will be a good one. Now then, speaking of big onions, Magical Mick Derbyshire from Old Mac Derby's farm has been on a couple of minutes ago, and he's given me 2 specimens to enter the competition with. So I'm going to have to do my research on that. I'll show you them. And they're there. So I'm going to have to get one of those cage things that go around them, like a tomato cage. And that helps them grow up strong and straight. But I'm going to have to get a bit of research there, guys. Anybody that grows big onions, put some tips down below so it can actually be competitive in the competition. There's 2 of them there. Now, a lot of the guys grow them indoors inside greenhouses, vented greenhouses. But they're a bit unforthcoming, shall we say, with the tips on what you feed them. I do believe that you give them quite high nitrogen at first, and then you incorporate urea and things like that. But anybody that's got tips on growing big onions, it'd be much appreciated, because I fancy that. Fancy having a go at it. Here are the Stuttgarter, or some of the Stuttgarter. They've got about that much growing to do before I take them outside. He's got a lot more growing to do, hasn't he? These 2 at the front. But when they all get to a certain size of about 8 inches, something like that, of growth on the top, that's when I'll put those outside. They're all going into the ground, those outside. I'm not too fussed about them, but as you can see, some of them aren't performing as they should. So we'll give them another week or so, and we'll get those in. Yeah, so not next Sunday, the Sunday after, probably, before we go away. Well, when we get back, actually, from the wonderful island of where are we going? Anglesey. When we get back from Anglesey, I'll put those in. But yeah, that's where we're up to. And these cucumbers are going to be going in this weekend. I'm going to get those in the ground this weekend. The cukes. And then I'll be shutting that door and getting them nice and warm. But I'll keep an eye on it. The weather conditions can be very, very temperamental. And it can get too hot for cucumbers. They can get too hot. And that's no good for them. Because you can actually, if you get a good summer, you can plant them outside, cucumbers, and they'll do all right. They'll do well. But in here, it can get quite hot, so I'll have to probably leave the door open. We've got ventilation as well, so that window can be opened. And also, I'll just turn you around, that window down there can be opened, so we can get some good airflow through and cool it down a bit, get some decent ventilation in. But the cucumbers are going to be going into this bed at the back with the trellis. But yeah, another week or 2, 10 days, and the Stuttgarter can follow the Italian Centurion friends into the big long onion bed. Right, guys, that's it for me. It's about 6:30. I've had to come up here because I couldn't get online. We've had an issue with the internet. It's gone down, but luckily, because we both work from home and we've got essential jobs, allegedly. The good lady farmer has got an essential job, that's for sure. But we're on some sort. Helen's on a scheme where we can get a fast call out when the internet goes down. I've just rung. The guy's was supposed to come about 6 o'clock, between 5 and 6, but he's running late, so it's going to be about 7 o'clock by the time he gets back. Gets up to our house and sorts it out. So fingers crossed, we're going to get that sorted out. Because my intention is to work from home tomorrow and do a long day, but hopefully that can be done. If not, if we can't get the internet rectified, I'll have to actually go into work. But I've a lot to do before the weekend, because on the weekend is when we're off. We're off then for 9 days. So I'm trying to get as much done as I possibly can. So probably not be on for you tomorrow, or potentially on Friday, but definitely on Saturday and Sunday this week. You'll be seeing me smiley face again. Somebody said, am I allowed to comment? They'd already commented on the channel, but they said, I really like your smiley face, am I allowed to comment? Yeah, if you want. You know, you can comment on my miserable face if you want, I'm not bothered. But yeah, fingers crossed for those giant onions. I'm having a go at that this year, definitely. Thinking about putting them into the the lady farmer's greenhouse. She can take the accolades if she wins into there, because I'll have nothing else growing in there apart from the grapes, and the grapes have started coming on now. The vines in there starting to put shoots out. But that's all that will be growing in there. So I'm going to get a couple of buckets, I think, a couple of the buckets, and put them in the buckets. But I need those. I suppose canes will do it, but it's like a wire. I don't know what you'd call it, like a wire enclosure, just basically to keep all the leaves in place in a system so they don't flop over, and you can get the maximum growth out of the leaves. And I think you feed the leaves first, and then you feed the root and the bulb. But I'm not sure what with. Help us out with that, guys. I can always do my own research, but any top tips you've got will be much appreciated. All right. Peace, love, and namaste. You've been beautiful, fragrant, and fantastic if you're a lady. You've been forthright, virile, and masculine if you're a gentleman. And if you've been something in between, you've been something in between. And we love you all. So, yeah, take care of yourselves and each other. Tatty bye from Eden. Guru out. Bye-bye now, boys and girls.